What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2007 mixtape by Lil Wayne. Basically, this project is called The Drought is Over 4, and basically this project came out in the fall of 2007. So the thing about this particular project is this is a series of unofficial mixtapes that were put out in Lil Wayne's fold as far as that particular going to happen. Lil Wayne was supposed to drop the album The Carter 3 in 2007, but it got delayed to the summer of 2008. So the pitch behind it, everyone was super hyped about The Carter 3 in 2007. It's going to be a huge album. Lil Wayne was just ferocious and like rap music around that particular time, and just everyone was hugely anticipating that particular project. But basically, the Carter 3 album leaked. It was on a number of projects. This is one of which. This is some of the subtitle to this particular project. The Drought is Over 4 is it's called The Drought is Over Part 4. The back to like the Carter 3 sessions, something like that. I don't remember it full blown, but it has something to do with like the Carter 3 sessions in here. So basically, the Drought is Over 2 had a bunch of Carter 3 sessions, and this one did as well. Pretty dope pitch to kind of get that in particular. So it's just a concept. So supposedly, like the Carter 3 album got leaked at least twice. Once with like the Drought is Over 2 with songs like I Feel Like Dying and Did It Before and I'm a Beast and some of those type songs, and Kush and some of those type ones. And then also on this particular product. Now there are a number of other The Drought is Over products. I don't know how many full blown were part of the Carter 3 sessions, I'd have to say, but I know there's at least a Drought is Over 5, 6, and 7, and there might even be like an eighth one. I don't know how far these stretch out, because I want to say that this particular one of the Drought is Over 4 came out in like October, mid-late October 2007. So this was still pretty pitched back when Lil Wayne was completely on his ferocious prime as far as that particular going to have. But a lot of these are just fiery, so I'm not going to talk as full blown about the lyrics in terms of these descriptions when I talk about these songs as far as the ones I recommend on here. But I'm just going to go ahead and say that Lil Wayne has got some pretty biting ferocity, I'd have to say, on this particular product. Just a lot of these. This does feel like the Carter 3 Lil Wayne, where I kind of feel like the Drought is Over 2 felt like more of like the in-between kind of Carter 2, Carter 3 type stuff. I mean, some of that was C3 Lil Wayne, but a lot of this feels like some of the fold that he was on, particularly on 5-Star Stunna by Birdman. It was around that same time when he was working on that particular record with Birdman in late 2007, and also like the early fare for like the Carter 3. So it's an interesting pitch. I really feel like the Carter 3, the album was knocked out more in like the first half of 2008. I don't know how many full-blown songs were kept from 2007 to wind up on the Carter 3 in June of 2008, but I would have to say at least Comfortable is on this particular project. So Comfortable is one I know that was held on to from 2007. So it kind of has a more static type production on there. Just feels more of like a leftover. That was one of the few songs he kept, and there were some ones that were on like the leak from 2007. Like I think it came out like Christmas Day or within like the last 5 or 6 days of 2007. There's one of those songs on here. It's called Talking About It. That's like the fifth song on the leak, and I would say on this particular project it's called We Come and See About It. So it's the same concept. There's at least a couple of repeat songs on here. Those are going to be almost songs, but I'm still going to count them just because they're pretty quality, I'd have to say. Basically, the leak was not out quite yet when this particular project came out, so it's just a good concept. But yeah, basically all of this is just ferocity from Lil Wayne in terms of what he was surely working on in 2007 as he was preparing to put out the Carter 3. Now, I know by like midsummer of 2007, Lil Wayne was probably not going to put out. He had said to Double XL around that particular time in the summer or fall of 2007 that he was going to make people wait. He was going to make people wait for the Carter 3 until 2008, and basically you were going to get Birdman instead. You were going to get the Birdman album instead, and some of those type pitches I'd have to say. But it's a dope enough concept. This is pretty feisty. I was surprised by the sheer quality of this. For an unreleased album, this is definitely pretty sheer in quality. This is definitely going to get a really high score. I want to say, I don't remember what I gave like the Drought is Over 2 back in late 2022 when I reviewed that one, but I think it was pretty much around like a 10 out of 10. It's pretty much like a 9, 9.5 out of 10, something like that. And that's what this particular product is going to be too. I just feel like the sheer visceral type tone that Lil Wayne had with these Card 3 sessions was pretty sheer. He definitely didn't fuck around. He knocked some of these out of the park, and just a lot of these are pretty sheer. And I like some of the ideas of these as well. A lot of these, like there's some ones on here like Trouble's a pretty nice one. That's a different shade of Lil Wayne. That was pretty interesting to kind of get. I like some of that nightclub bounce of Brand New. It's pretty interesting type one. I mean, this one pales in comparison to bigger hits from 2008 from Lil Wayne, like Pop Bottles and A Millie and Lollipop, especially some of those type ones. But I still think Brand New had some decent bounce that probably could have been a buzz single back in the day. There's some ones on here like I feel like Burn This City is a pretty nice one to kind of get just within that relative pitch. That one's kind of a dramatic type one to kind of have for like some night type fare. There's just some good ones on here. We'll kind of get to some more of these as far as that pitch kind of particularly goes. But yeah, I feel like it's just a very shredding type project. Lil Wayne just completely shreds this project. This definitely ranks among some of his best. Now it's kind of tough to say in terms of saying is it like top 10, top 20, just because Lil Wayne has so many star-studded type projects and just overall whopping projects. But this is prime era Lil Wayne, just to say that. It's him from C3 era, late 2007, more so than like The Drought is Over 2. This is definitely pretty close to like 5-Star Stunna by Birdman and the Carter 3 sessions, I'd have to say, that were from early 2008, so it's a pretty good pitch. But basically, there's 19 songs on this particular project here. There is a one floating around that I almost downloaded. There's another version of this particular mixtape that's like the Dat Piff edition, or like a differential edition that only has like 12 or 14 songs. You basically want to get the 19 song edition. That's the true one of this, and it has some extra songs in here that are just worth it, and a pretty fair, just a pretty flaring particular type fold as far as that would kind of go along with it. So it's just some excellent type concepts to kind of get here. But out of those 19 songs, I wound up recommending 15. This kind of concept. Now, 12 of them are full-blown songs I recommend. There's two songs on here that I recommend that are on. There's two songs on here that I recommend that are on other projects, and one of which is Big Dog Status, which is a Scarface song, but he threw the remix. I don't know if it's on like the iTunes Deluxe Edition or what exactly it is, but Big Dog Status that's an original song on Scarface's 2007 album, but it's also got a remix with T.I. and Lil Wayne on there, so that's on this particular project. I think you could basically find it on the Made Deluxe by Scarface. And then like We Come and See About It is off of Lil Wayne's The Leak project. Now I think that's a lot more low key, but it still was on the 5-song project The Leak in late 2007. It's just under a different name called Talking About It, so it's a good concept. But those two are basically almost songs because of that, but they're not almost songs in terms of like quality. It's just the fact that they're on other projects. And then Comfortable was on the Carter 3. That's another one that was that was one that Lil Wayne held on to for the Carter 3, one of the few 2007 songs that he kept, but that's another one that was basically a part of that. So those three songs are still excellent. I do appreciate all three of these, but I'm not going to talk about them as full-blown just because they're to be found elsewhere, I just would have to say. So that's the concept. But so basically the only 4 songs I don't recommend on here would be Need Some Quiet, I Like It with Boo and Mac Main, Breaking My Heart, and Operate on Me. So basically most of these just had like production type fare that just didn't stack up to like the quality of it. I would say Operate on Me was just kind of a bewildered and just kind of offhanded type one. It's trying to be a little bit more of like exotic type fare. Wyclef Jean was on some hit songs back in 2007 like Sweetest Girl and some of those type ones, but this didn't add up to much of a very good amalgamation. It was just a little bit too left field, didn't really nail it quite as well as it needed to. Breaking My Heart was just kind of like a poppy type one. This one was just kind of like a summer breezy type one to kind of get in particular, but just the appeal behind it was just not quite as sheer as it needed to be. Need Some Quiet was just kind of like a free thinking type one, just kind of one for like some tasks getting done, house cleaning type music I'd have to say in particular, but this didn't pull off the vibe nearly as well as it needed to. Just didn't pull out the vibe nearly as good as it needed to for house cleaning type music and just a differential type fare. Just was kind of one was like a lesser version of something like Trouble or one of those type ones. There's another one that kind of had that particular type fare that I'm trying to think of. A little bit like a worse rendition of like Burn the City or one of those type ones I'd have to say. There's probably another one I'm thinking of, but I just don't remember it. Just it's just not quite as compelling, I'd have to say. And then I Like It was just kind of, this one was kind of like a hangout type song. This reminded me of like some rock type music. It's interesting because Lil Wayne kind of dressed like a rock star back in 2007, so he was kind of on some of that rock type fare, but it just didn't pull out the vibe nearly as well as it needed to. I mean, it's not like a bad song. This is probably one that would almost cap off this project as far as being like a full-blown classic, but I don't know, the riffage on there was just not quite as sure as what it needed to be. I kind of feel like he kind of got that style down pat better on like his Rebirth album. I'm going to have to get to that Rebirth album down the road to confirm that, but I just would have to say it just felt like an early rendition of some of the Rebirth stuff that he would do in 2010. It's a decent little hangout song. It's not a bad song. It's just kind of the concept. It just didn't jump off the page to me, I'd have to say. And that's just kind of the concept about this particular project. So to talk about some of the songs I recommend on here, basically a lot of these are pretty inspired Lil Wayne. I'd have to say definitely some excellent concepts on here. One of which is Pop That Pussy. This is definitely like a pretty litty strip club bounce of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a solid dance club tune, I would definitely feel like, and this is just some basic turn up, and this is a pretty lively song. This one definitely, this is the sort of song that probably definitely needed to be on like, definitely needed to be on the Carter 3. I feel like the Carter 3 was a lot more commercial compared to the Carter 2 and pitches like that, and like Father, Like Son with Birdman, some of those type ones. I kind of feel like it didn't seem like there was like a lot of room for strip club songs that full blown on like the Carter 3. I mean, I feel like Get Money or Got Money, the song with T-Pain, was pretty close. That was definitely a pretty litty nightclub song, but I feel like that's more like a dance club song. Same thing with Lollipop. Same thing with You Ain't Got Nothing with Joel Santana and Fabulous, some of those type ones. But I'd have to say Pop That Pussy is definitely like a full-blown kind of strip club type tune. Definitely a nice bounce on here. I know that at least Cassidy is on this song, which you don't really commonly see Cassidy and Lil Wayne type songs, so that's a pretty good pitch. I don't know who the third cat was on this particular song, but he was pretty good on there as well. Definitely pretty good concept. Probably one of my more favorite songs on this particular project here would be Trouble. This was a surprise hit one as far as that particular kind of went. It's like a moody and kind of emphatic work shift gloom of a song, I'd have to say. Pretty pretty good pitch as far as that particular kind of went. It's like a great secret tune of Lil Wayne to kind of get here, and this song basically belongs on like the Carter 3. This definitely should have been another one that he should have kept. I realized that keeping all these ones that he did in 2007 is because he improved even further in early 2008 as far as that particular pitch kind of went. So it's just the concept of getting some of these, but this is definitely probably something that should have been like a bonus track. I mean, he kept certain ones like Comfortable and Prostitute and some of those type ones. I'd have to say there might have been like a couple other ones just to be able to say, but this is definitely one of the probably better ones, at least has a little bit more defining nature. But maybe it should have been on the Leak. I'm surprised that the Leak EP was only like 5 songs. It definitely felt like it should have been like 10 or 12 even, I'd have to say. It's a good concept. But this is a great song. It has a great sample on there. Just a real moody, kind of rainy day type one that works pretty well. Real somber piano beat. Brand New is a pretty nice one. This is like a sparkly kind of night venue thump of a song. I'd have to say, real nice concept for that. This feels like a buzz single. I'd have to say it's like a snazzy appeal the song in particular kind of has, and this is like a good step out in like the late wind type tune. I'd have to say so. There's definitely some social pizzazz. Definitely a pretty good glitzy Lil Wayne song to kind of get here. It's just a great concept to kind of see some of these. Just really appreciate the aspect behind it. Rider's a pretty nice one. This is a good revamp of Tupac's Ambitions as a rider, I'd have to say. Now, Lil Wayne did do Weezy's Ambitions on, like, I forget which project it was, maybe Dedication 2, one of those type ones, The Drought. He's done it on one of his mixtapes. That's definitely a pretty excellent song, is Weezy Ambitions, but this one's a pretty nice one as well. It's like a more syrup-laden kind of smoke one, hotbox the whip type tune as far as that particular kind of happens for that sort of concept. Just some hotbox the whip, definitely some hotbox the whip kind of pizzazz, I'd have to say. So it's definitely vehicle bound. There's a lot of songs on here that have that vehicle bound typeness for just smoking with your buds and like the whip as far as that particular kind of goes. Hotbox in the car, some of those type ones. Vehicle bound type stuff, just kind of going out getting Popeyes, some of those type pitches. The simple type stuff, just kind of cruise around, get some errands done with your pals, pick up some stuff at the gas station. I'd say some great concepts. It's pretty, I mean, I feel like the Card 3 maybe not had those as much. I kind of feel like the thing about Lil Wayne in 2007 was he was more gas station kind of traverse type bound and stuff like that. I feel like the Card 3 was not quite as residential now that I think about it. I mean, songs like Got Money, Lollipop, and Millie, those weren't necessarily gas station type tunes, and Comfortable wasn't, and Mrs. Officer wasn't, some of those type ones. The song like Phone Home, You Ain't Got Nothing weren't. La La wasn't. Maybe La La was. That's another one that was from 2007. But La La, some of those type ones, just being able to say. But just enough of those. This is definitely some hotbox to whip, just with your buzz type stuff. This more kind of traverse and this kind of more low-key residential type verse. It's kind of a good concept, and it's easy to miss this sort of Lil Wayne, I'd have to say. I feel like another one that's pretty similar to Brand New would be Ask Them Hoes. I'd have to say it's definitely like a thumping bass and kind of simplistic bounce that this song particularly kind of has. This song reminds me of Time for Us to Fuck from like the Carter. The song reminds me of Time for Us to Fuck off of like The Drought is Over too. I'd have to say in particular one of those type ones. And I'd say this is a pretty good bop. This is another pounding type one to kind of get here. Some of these Liddy type ones, I do like some of this Nightbound Lil Wayne, some of these venue type ones. I'm glad that Lil Wayne had some good pizzazz for some of those outing type ones. I mean, I feel like some of these, I do think if Lil Wayne had dropped the Card 3, I think I said this before in a review I did either in 2022 or 2023, but I look after, I think if Lil Wayne had dropped the Card 3, if he had given in to like the hype and decided to put it out in 2007, I don't think it would have sold 1 million copies in the first week. It might have sold like 300,000, 400,000, something like that, but I don't think it would have reached 1 million. I think him holding out on people and forcing them to wait till 2008 definitely built up the hype and allowed for this to be like a true classic album as far as that particular kind of went. But this is definitely some good stuff. I mean, he sharpened his edge on these particular products here, and a lot of these, even despite the fact that they're not official, they feel official just because these are actually songs that Lil Wayne was working on for the Carter 3, and that's kind of the constant. He was that good back in those times that you basically need to fuck with these. That's kind of the thing. It's kind of the concept. Burn the City is a pretty nice one. This says Twista on here. They were also on the song Whip Game Proper off of Twista's 2007 album, but this is like a late day kind of finish errands up kind of activity of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a good bustling traverse too, and I would definitely have to say, and this is just some good jive. So this is definitely one. This one's not quite as much night commerce, but this kind of, I would say late day, just kind of 6:30, 7 p.m. Some pitches like that. Just getting like the last bit of bills paid, some of those type pitches. Just got done with work, some of that initial kind of activity. This kind of feels like, I mean, this one's not quite as focused on recreation, I'd have to say. It was just kind of the commerce of like a late day kind of work shift type tone as far as that particular kind of goes. It's another good one that kind of pair up with like Trouble, I'd have to say, just a little bit. Not as gloomy, just kind of a bustling type one. So it's at least interesting that Lil Wayne had some of these type makeshift relative type tunes back in 2007 as far as that kind of goes. A real nice highlight on here would be It's Time to Give Me Mine. Definitely appreciated this one. This is like a nice Carter 2 hook that this song particularly kind of has. Pretty good concept for that. Just I forget what song it was. Maybe it was Fireman, one of those type ones. But this is like a vintage kind of southern rap club rumbler, I'd have to say. And this is just a pretty rich song. This reminds me of something that Rick Ross would do with a song like Hustle and some of those type ones. This has that real kind of chopped and screwed sample type song as far as that pitch kind of goes. Definitely drenched in like chopped and screwed type feels as far as that particular kind of goes. This is another one that probably should have been held on to later, thrown on like the leak or something like that, because this is just a pretty excellent pitch to kind of get here. Definitely some great concepts to get some of these type ones. And that's the thing. I mean, this is still the thing about 2007 Lil Wayne is just the fact that it has like remnants of the Carter 2, where he still had some of that appeal of like songs like Fireman and Money on My Mind and some of those type ones. It was also kind of the in between, like the conduit between songs like from late 2007, like Pop Bottles and Kush and some of those type ones, and early hits like Lollipop and A Million, some of those type ones. I feel like he didn't quite have that commercial smash quite yet in 2007. I think definitely around this time there's some ones on here that just were leading up to it. And this is definitely like there's just a good amount of remnants that just remind me of like the early, just the prenatal stages of like Carter 3 Lil Wayne. So some good concepts. Basically, a song that should remind you of a certain song on here should be the song I Took Her. This is like a great step out glitz of a song, I'd have to say, and this one is pretty damn similar to Birdman's Pop Bottles from his 5-Star Stunna album. It has a very similar production on here, and it seems like this is like the early demo type song of that particular song, I'd have to say. Definitely pretty commercial smash hit for 2007. I would recommend checking out that Birdman album if you don't know about it, but this goes pretty well with Brand New, I'd have to say. So it's another good glitzy step out type song to kind of get here. I feel like in this relative rendition, I don't think it had like the sheer appeal. I feel like the way that they mastered Pop Bottles in 2007 just had a lot more appeal. That's pretty much one of Lil Wayne's bigger hits around that particular time. That's just the concept of this was kind of like the prenatal stages that I had to say. The verses on here are pretty good. I definitely think Lil Wayne shreds it in terms of that, but it's just kind of the concept. Money, Cars, Clothes is a pretty nice one as well. It's like a midnight snack and after hours activity of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a good smoke a few kind of hangout type tune, I'd have to say. And this is definitely some C3 Lil Wayne, I'd have to suppose. Some good concepts on here just to get this one. This one kind of has a pretty similar production to like Brand New, some of those type pitches. One of those type ones in particular. It definitely reminds me of Brand New and some of that, I would have to suppose in particular. Just another glitzy type night type fair to kind of get. I mean, this can't, I feel like a lot of these pretty much can be nightclub bound just within a certain sense if nightclubs play mixtape fair as far as that particular kind of goes. But a lot of these are just so glitzy. It's a good appeal about this because I want to say there wasn't as much sheer full-blown nightclub songs on like the Carter 3. It had a lot more amalgamation of things. There's other songs on there like Dr. Carter, Mr. Carter, some of those type ones, and some of those type pitches. But I do definitely feel like this particular product just had a lot of glitz about it and just really has that appeal. One Night Only is a pretty nice one. This is like a dramatic kind of vintage mixtape soul of a song, I'd have to say in particular. This one definitely reminds me of like the dedication days, I'd have to say, and this is just like some classic Wayne on here, I'd have to suppose. Yeah, One Night Only is definitely like a dramatic type one to kind of get in particular. It just has some of that vintage kind of the Carter 2 type feel and dedication type days that that's in particular. Definitely some of that soulful typeness that Jeezy and Cameron and some of those type folks did in like 2005, 2006, some of those type years. It's a real nice one. Definitely appreciate some of these. And it's a good concept. I mean, Lil Wayne is usually pretty good at these in particular. I'd say is this kind of a concept that was kind of missed on like the Carter 3, but it's just a good pitch to get some of these. This would have to say in particular. Do What We Do is a pretty nice one. This is kind of an oddball type one, but I do like this one. Do What We Do is kind of a trickier one to describe. I did appreciate this. This is like a hot box fair, I would definitely have to say. Pretty good one. Once again, just smoking the whips and pitches like that with your buds, pitches like that. It's definitely like a good zone out and kind of hang out noise of a song I had to say in particular. And this is good for like some after hours traverse, grab some snacks and pitches like that. I had to suppose pretty good concept just being able to say some of those type things. It's some good after hours type fair. I just would have to suppose just like the concept of getting some of these as far as that particular kind of happens. This basic kind of mixtape fair as far as that kind of goes. Just another basic Lil Wayne bop to kind of have on here. A lot of these are just easy to listen to just because the way Lil Wayne shreds these. They're just over great productions, great Southern Fried type productions, some great hotbox type music. If you're just getting Burger King with your buds and pitches like that, and you just have a bunch of swishers lit and some of those type fairs just smoking near a park or something like that, it's just some excellent type concepts kind of get within that relative noise, I'd have to say. Some great concepts. When They Come For Me is a pretty nice one as well. This is like a late night gleam of a song, I'd have to say. Pretty good. Just overall, this has some appeal about it that I definitely enjoy. This is like a residential stroll of a song, I'd have to suppose. Definitely for some after hours, just kind of go to the gas station or Taco Bell, some pitches like that. Just get some snacks, some of those type things. It's definitely like a smoke a joint, like the after hours type tune to kind of get. A lot of good smoking songs on this particular product. Lil Wayne is a pretty big smoker as far as that particular kind of happens. Just some great concepts to get a lot of these just for some after hours type fare, just smoking in the night night, those sorts of pitches, just on the walk home, some of those type fares where that particularly kind of happens. It's good park type music, just smoking the after hours, just real nice ambient type music to kind of get for some of that type fare. Very similar to 3 6 Mafia. Lil Wayne just has a lot of these residential type songs as far as that particularly going to go. So not all of these are like nightclub glitz. A lot of these have some residential type fare for just after hours activity, just wind down type music in a relative sense. And then even though We Come and See About It is kind of an almost song just because it's on another project, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it because I did describe it a bit. I didn't realize, I thought it was, but I described it before I realized it was on another project. But basically it's like a residential kind of traverse of a song, and I'd say once again it's another one for that. It's like some Grab Subway and kind of late smokish type tune, I'd have to say, and this is just one where Wayne shreds. So a lot of these just have Wayne on like his Primera type stuff, just really killing some of these type songs, just being able to do it. It's a great concept to kind of get some of these. The amalgamation, the only real thing that this project really missed is just Lil Wayne having like an anchored kind of single. I realize that this is an unofficial project, but it just felt like that's about the only thing is Lil Wayne just needed like a #1 hook, something like that, but which he did acquire in like early 2008. So it's just the concept that going from like September, October 2007, when this project was approximately kind of made, is just interesting, and some of these just improved even further on top of the stuff that he was already doing. So Lil Wayne had a pretty bolsterous 2007, is what I'd say in particular. But in terms of what I'm going to score this mixtape, me recommending basically 15 songs out of 19 on here, I'm going to go ahead and give this mixtape like a 9.5 out of 10. It's really that damn good. Once again, this is primary Lil Wayne, just completely eviscerates these songs as far as I'm particularly going to have. It's got some interesting fares, some great productions on here, some great Southern Fried type stuff, some Carter 2 era Lil Wayne mixed with some Carter 3 era Lil Wayne. I'd have to suppose there's some excellent type stuff on here. Really like the Southern Fried version of Rida, which is basically like Lil Wayne's version of Ambitions as Rida by Tupac, just in a more syrup kind of sense, chopped and screwed type sense, that I'd say. There's some good nightclub bounce and some nightclub pizzazz with songs like Ask Them Hoes, Brand New, and Money, Cars, and Clothes, some of those type ones. I feel like there's some relative worship type songs on here like Burn the City and Trouble, some of those type ones. There's definitely like some good bops on here. The good strip club bop, and Pop That Pussy, and also some good night traverse type songs like One Night Only and We Come and See About It, and like Burn the City, definitely to say that one again, and like When They Come For Me, some of those type ones in particular. So it's an excellent concept. So the social score is going to get a 10 out of 10 just because of all this blistering type appeal that particularly goes along with this. This is just a great project here. Is just, despite the fact that it's unofficial, this is still one that should probably be downloaded just based on the pitch of the quality behind it. There's plenty of good stuff. The nightclub songs, the traverse songs, the pitches like that, the worship type songs. It's basically had everything minus just like a #1 single or a #1 hook, something like that. But it has a lot of lyricism, just being able to have a lot of Southern Pride type stuff, this vintage Lil Wayne, the stuff he was working on. Even these unofficial and scrap kind of songs are still pretty damn excellent to kind of get. And they're basically ones that you do want to lap up and kind of fuck with. Even if it's been 17 years, I still would say most of these are pretty good. You know, the reality that these is they're pretty sheer. So in terms of the future, like Lil Wayne's supposedly working on the Carter 6. He did put out like a collaboration album with 2 Chainz in the fall of 2023 called Welcome to College Grove, which is basically College Grove 2, which is a collaboration album, some pitches like that. Lil Wayne also put out The Fix Before the 6, some of those type ones. He might be working on a mixtape again, something like that. We'll have to see. But this is damn near a classic. This is right on the cusp of a classic. I feel like this is up there with The Drought Is Over 2, up there with the Carter 3, some of those type ones. This classic era Lil Wayne, pitches like that. 2007 was just a huge year for Lil Wayne. This definitely shows it.